Hi, here is Samneet Kaur Khak. My student ID is 20173395. Here I will describe the Dave and Karen case. Dave and Karen are siblings and Dave lives in Sydney whereas Karen was in Oxford, England for her job. Dave asked his sister to come and live with him when he died so that he could care for him. When he died, he did not keep his promise of contract by Dave and Karen. Advice to Karen. Legal advice to Karen will be given as she should sue his brother for the rule of promissory estoppel. This is a contract between two people where one person promises to other person and after that promise is made, the promisor is not subjected to move back from his promise. If the promisor moves back, he will be liable for compensations to promise. Certain grounds cover this doctrine and make it clearer. These are as the reliable ground for the doctrine that the promises should be clear and here as per facts. The promise was in verbal form and was clearly mentioned. No ambitious in the promise was made. The second ground, which is the promise, should rely on the promise made by the promise, and in this case, Karen had relied on the promise made by Dave, so there were no ground to object that there was no reliance. Apart from that, the promise was reasonable also, and the reliance by Karen was also reasonable as both the parties have blood relations. And the conversation was clear. Here, the ground of injury is also covered as Karen left her job and sold her home in Oxford, promising she would be getting the property of his brother, but in the end, she got nothing. Ali's parents took a loan from Chatham Bank to buy their son's business. As per the agreement, Ali's parents had to mortgage something, so for that they gave a guarantee on the basis of their home and debt payments. Soon later, their family got liquidated and their home was taken away by the bank. It was the duty of bank to make an appointment of an advisor for Ali's parents so that they should know all the facts and circumstances more clearly. But the bank did not do it as they would not extract the money, which was an unfair practice. Apart from that, they also knew parents of Ali did not know English and were not that educated. But so it was the responsibility of the bank to make them know conditions of agreement. Because of this, an interpreter would tell Ali's parents that the bank must have fully exploited the situation and that this is an instance of abnormal behavior. So as the per this, the contract was voidable for the beginning because no conditions of agreement were fulfilled due to the lack of knowledge by one party. The bank behaved unethically toward Ali's parents and again exploited its savvy negotiating positions of financial gain. In this particular case, the bank offered a guarantee to their son by aging parents. For this bank, the manager moved for approval of the mortgage, but the documents delivered was not by any comments. But still the mortgage was approved. After that, the bank on terms of the guarantee requested payment from the parents. But when they did not get the amount on the requested date, they submitted a notice to use their power or sell the mortgaged property. The majority of the court found that the bank actions rendered the guarantee invalid because they were not conscious.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Adisham Yusuf, and my student ID is 20172696. In this presentation, I have two questions for my part. First question is that Brad and John ran up a area in their round. One day, their wood-fired oven just blew up, thus needed to do a replacement of their oven. They contacted NG, who is a local oven distributor and has been wait for a long time. NG promised them that she will install the oven by Friday and get them installed the same day. After the NG went to a lengthy lunch party with their friends and have an excessive amount of wine so that she lost consciousness. As a consciousness, she forgot about the oven and they needed to deliver and install. And just because of that, they suffered a huge loss. So, what's the advice, Bridget? As per the fact told by Brad and Jane, it's clearly mentioned that the whole issue of the oven clearly to Angie and ask her to installment of the oven. As in a bakery oven, there is very important, and that's why they told Angie about the urgent. installment of the oven, and she promised to install within 24 hours of the conversation. Due to this unprofessional behavior of Angie, she forgot to install the oven, and they both suffered a huge loss in the profit as well, and as in reputation as well. So the inability to deliver could have been mentioned an engine that deliver within a day or next day, but she promised her and she did not do so. So here Brad and Jane have the whole thing on their side, as they have the right to claim the compensation as per contract law if a promise was made but not fulfilled, and they both the party had proper knowledge about the intensity of the situation and urgency of the delivery of the oven. So for it, Brad and John are recommended to sue injury for and keeping the promise, for not keeping the promise, and for the loss they suffered due to the closure of the shop. So let's have a look in a relevant case with this. And this is a Victoria Laundry case, Newman in 1947. In this particular case, on the basis of a lucrative dyeing contract, the company Victoria Laundry has ordered a sizable boiler for the Newman Industries. Uh, the company also cleared that they needed the boiler as soon as possible and right away, and it was cleared to nail, but the boiler was delivered after 5 months of delay. So due to this delay, they claimed the file casing contract violation. uh, so in this case, the plaintiff was the owner of a mill. After a few days, some parts of the steam engine got broken, and due to this, their mill got shut down. The component was went to transport to WJ company to be replaced by the plaintiffs under a contract with the defendant, but due to the delay in the delivery of these parts, the plaintiff filed a lawsuit to seek damages for delay in delivery by defendants and also loss for the incurred due to the mill shutdown. So that was a relevant case for that. And now second question of my part is a man named Gulliver went to a 23-day tour in the company to a company in order to spend the time from the city. Due to high expectations, he thought he would get a good tour experience. It was a good experience for him to serve for 11 days at the beginning of this tour, but he actually gained the experience expected from the tour. On the 12th day later, he got injured in another bus crash, and then he wasn't able to continue his journey. So he thought he would took action against the company and need as a compensation plan or get his full amount back and like this. He took legal action against the company to recover the full cost of the package journey that they purchased and sued for the great damages. So what should be the advice to a Gulliver? Uh, Gulliver, who is the plaintiff, uh, to sue the company, thought to sue the company, and for that he will get a cash refund as compensation for the injury that he caused due to accident. As for 11 days, the expectations of Gulliver were fulfilled, but the package were 23 days. So for this, Gulliver is recommended to file the suit for this conditions that are not fulfilled. These are get a refunded for 11 days of the tour was not able to do due to injury caused by the tour, to get a proper evaluation of injury that is accused by the physician, so it will take compensation on the basis of that, and judge will feel also feel in injury if caused there are documents and reported of the physician. Claim for compensation for the suffering and incorporate the injury, claim for the cost of treatment he suffered, the claim for the legal fees he incurred, loss due to trauma due to an incident injury. So let's have a look a relevant case with this. This was Baltic Shipping Corporation versus Dillon, Mrs. Dillon. It's in 1993. In this relevant case, it is shown that the Mrs. Dillon was traveling in a cruise. After reading this case, it is founded the trip was organized for 14 days, but Mrs. Dillon got injured in ninth day, due to which she did not able to.
Hi, my name is Gagandeep Kaur and my student ID is 20173557. In this presentation, I will discuss two questions of my part. The first question is the fact of the case is an electric good distributor company has distributed a catalog which was related to plasma television. In that catalog, it was mentioned that the plasma television on the sale, but the actual cost of it was $2,000. As the pamphlet was wrongly printed, Tom got the pamphlet from his letterbox where he learned about the television sale. He moved to Rosla Ltd company to get the television for $200, but he learned from the salesman that the price was mistakenly mentioned, so he would not be getting it for that price. In the part 1, advice to Rosla Ltd. As per information given to the Rosla, it was advised that the sale of the property would be for $200 based on the information that was contained in the catalog. However, under contract law, if an advertisement is placed, it is not an offer to the public because the written word in the catalog were there just to inform the public of the offer going on, not as a general offer to purchase. So there is no liability of the company to sell the plasma television for $200, which was printed mistakenly, and the actual price is $2,000. So it will be advised to the Rosla Ltd not to worry about the suits by Tom. In the relevant cases, ACCB, Air Asia Berhad Company 2012, FCA 1413. In this case, Air Asia Berhad, which is a foreign firm operating in Australia to provide air travel facilities, the company for 10 months failed to be specific about the price of the ticket, which was reflected on the website. So for this, the Federal Court of Australia has ordered Air Asia Berhad to give a fine amount $2 lakh for the violation of Australian consumer laws single price clause Lexology 213. In the part 2, there is an Australian consumer law section 48 that deals with the pricing and advertising of the product in order to protect the consumer. This section of the advertisement tool make it clear that the price mentioned on the advertisement tool are the actual price consumer are going to pay for the television. Thus, if Rosla Ltd advertised the price of the plasma television for $200, the company is liable to sell the television at the stated price, not a different price. If the company does not sell it, then it will be liable for the compensation. The remedies consumer get under competition and consumer regulation 80A Lexology 213. And my second question is from part 2, question number 1. The scenario is in relation to damage and the duty of care would be considered in the Jean B East and Four Corners supermarket. In this case, Jean has suffered damage in the financial, physical and emotional capability of her aunt due to the mistake of the supermarket. And in this case, this has created the issue of making different laws for torts which are given in Australia. The law which are listed in this regard are a breach of duty and care which is given in this case. The torts acts in this scenario. The scenario justify that the store of supermarket clearly has a policy of checking the floor of any store of the store for the spillage every 15 minutes. Jean being a regular customer visited to the store and got the injury from the spillage in SL3, which was the pet food. The store staff is responsible for the spillage, and the damage which was occurred to Jean created a liability toward her in the form of monetary compensation for financial, physical, and emotional damage. The torts is regards the breach of care which was required by the store and should have been considered by them in the form of taking full responsibility. The explanation of the store owner in regard to compensation to Jean. The store owner of East Four Corner Supermarket is responsible for the damage to the Jean, and the store owner should know the law that the store has complete responsibility and accountability in regard to the damage as a store of the duty of care has been breached. The breach is in the duty of care caused the person in utterly the responsibility of a person causing its damage as a relationship between the pupil and the parties could be seen in them, and such a relationship of any kind make the duty of care exists. The law of duty of care and a breach of the duty is known as the torts, which are in this case committed by the store by not complying with this policy, and this created an edge between the people who have committed the torts and those the damage has been caused. The torts are listed in the different form, and in this breach of duty of care is being given as per given the established case law of Donkey B. Stevenson. The breach in negligence proved that this is a form of torts which has to be analyzed in perfect manner. The store owner, in particular any representative of the store, will be liable to pay the charges for which Jean is being charged in the journey of being suffered with injury created due to breach the duty of care along with the negligence on the part of people working in the store. So yes, the store owner should know. As per the fact, there is a liability toward Jean which has been served in the given relationship between a business person and his customer. This relationship is served as a fact because the damage to the Jean was caused on the premises of the store towards A 2021, and the expenses which are borne by Jean amount to $1.3 million, including all damage which are out of pocket and general damage to pain along with the suffering created to her. She has the right to recover this money in monetary compensation from the store, and this makes the law of torts application for the case along with the duty of care. The East and 4 supermarket corner is in liability toward Jean, and this make the law of torts come into existence for the matter in the relationship between a business person and customer. Hence, it is proved that with the above established case law, the law of torts in Australia, that there are many laws which are listed in torts in the form of duty of care and responsibility along with the negligence, which is why the store is liable toward the expenses borne by Jean on the damage, and the cause of action is created in the store premises that can be used against the store for the case and justice for the Jean Karen 2022. Thank you. This is the end of my presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Gauravdeep Singh. My student ID is 2017-3308. In this given case between Lan with Johnny, it is given that Lan is employed by Johnny to clean the pool each day, and there is a relationship between employer and employee. Lan suffered the damages to property in the hailstorm as the gate of the garage was closed in the absence of Johnny at home. And this caused the damage to the property of Lan, which made the case of tort, and it is to be analyzed whether there the Johnny is liable for compensation. Facts of this case. Lan was in employment with Johnny, and he owed Lan a duty of care for being employed with him. The hailstorm was caused in the environment and had done damage to the van of Lan when he was cleaning the pool, and the van was parked on the property of Lan. The gate of the garage is always closed. Johnny and he never did Lan tell him to open the gate, and no such communication is made between them. As a result, the gate of the garage was closed and damage was caused to the property of Lan employee Johnny. To me, John is not liable for the damages of $25,000 caused to Lan in the form of tort, which is caused by the negligence of Lan himself in particular. This makes the relationship between employer and employee, but the execution of all ways to protect the employee each time along with his property is not present in the course of an employer. Also, in this case, there is a duty of care given to the employer in regard to the employee in the case of a relationship like this. There could be happening of a tort. In line with Johnny, no tort is being committed in relation to damage to property, and the breach in duty of care as the damage which is caused is due to the hailstorm as part of nature and environment, and it comes in uncontrollable factors that cannot be foreseen by the employer in any terms. And the natural causes do not come under the responsibility of the employer. So for these circumstances, there is an edge in creating the relationship between the employer and employees. In the established case law of Prince Alfred College Incorporated v. ADC, the liability of the employer could be charged in case of a tort or in case of human controllable instances, and the cause of action will be evaluated on the basis of given instances only. The law is based on facts, and these facts are considered with they are realistic in nature. So the application for the law of tort requires some essentials, and in the given case of land wage zoning, such essentials are not present entirely. We do not create a case law for the damages and torts which are given in law for breach of negligence and duty of care in regard of the employer as well as the employee. With the case law established in the courts of Australia, it is clear that no tort is given in this case, and this case requires another law that could be considered by Land for making a case against Johnny. As Johnny is not at fault for the execution of opening the gate of the garage, the opening of the gate was not a priority communicated by Land to Johnny. And Johnny did not know that the hailstorm would come and Lan's property would be damaged. So Land is responsible for his own property in each regard, and Johnny is not liable for any claim for damages which were caused to Lan in regard to the event. This monetary compensation will not be claimed, and Johnny will not pay Lan if even if the duty of care is assumed for the employer.